Justin mailed my absentee ballot today, I think. I voted for Amy Lapine for city attorney. I voted in favor of the proposition that doesn't allow firefighters and policemen in San Diego to be outsourced. And I voted against the strong mayor propositions. I wrote in Kate Yavenditti on all of the judicial positions. I didn't like any of the people that were up. They were DAs or cops mostly. So, I started thinking about, I have been thinking about who I'm going to vote for president for a little bit. Because it's difficult to ignore all of the Obama-Clinton-ness. So, I'm going to vote for McKinney. I was going to vote for Nader, but I realized that I don't really understand why Nader isn't running green. I think it's a little bit sectarian, and any differences he might have with the Green Party in terms of politics are so minuscule that I don't know. I don't think it's warranted. So when I tell people that I'm going to vote for McKinney, they often ask, why? I mean, she doesn't have a chance of winning, so why would you throw your vote away? And I think that logic is based on a couple of premises. That one, that there's an evil to be feared, that there's a candidate whose platform is so loathsome with a constituency that's so strong that we should vote for a lesser of two evils just to prohibit that candidate from gaining office. And the second premise is that the lesser of two evils is sufficiently different than the candidate that we're afraid of. The politics and our state of affairs will be different. That really the evil that sought to be avoided will in fact be avoided. So, I think that logic is kind of coercive. As for the first premise, I buy it. I do think that McCain's position, for instance, on the war, which is my litmus test, is pretty deplorable. There's no critique of imperial exertions of military force, and he's okay with being there for a long time. For what did he say, 30 to 60 to 100? The numbers go all over the media. I don't know which one it is. But withdrawal isn't one of his priorities, right? So, Obama's position is that we should pull out. The earliest date I think he had was 2009, and that's pretty good. Clinton's position is that we should withdraw, but when isn't really delineated in her platform. McKinney says that we should withdraw too, but the difference between her and Obama is that she acknowledges that the war is immoral, that it isn't just poor strategy, that exercising military force in order to destabilize a region or to maintain control over resources is reprehensible. I don't think that Obama's critique is acknowledging that that's what's happening. I think that it still buys into the idea that we were bringing democracy to another people, which I don't believe. So, so I guess that goes to whether or not I think that the second premise is true. Whether I think that a Democrat is really that much different than McCain. Now, what they say when they run for office is pretty different. But what they do when they get there really isn't. I haven't been around for a very long time. I've been thinking about politics probably since 1988 in second grade when Mrs. Johanneck made us vote in the Bush-Dukakis election. I voted for Bush. So, I just thought he was cuter. And that goes to another issue in electoral politics, right? Like the identity being at stake as opposed to what their platform is, like whether or not you are more oppressed as a person of color or as a woman, which has really become the meat of the debate, I think. And I think that it divides us more than it brings us together. So I think it's important to acknowledge both, So Anyway, I don't think Democrats actually do what they say, basically. So Clinton didn't. His campaign was brilliant. He was talking about like health care for the country. He was talking about like peace and love and stuff, basically. And then when he got into office, we had sanctions against Iraq, we had Kosovo, and stuff. We also gutted social programs. Like, I was living on welfare when he was in office, and I think my mother had to get off in 3 years. And we were poor to begin with, and then her children got taken away, and it was pretty bad. So, and it isn't as if her kids didn't or couldn't have grown up to contribute. The idea that the domestic labor and that raising the next generation isn't valuable enough for the society to want to invest in, I think is, well, I just don't agree, I guess. So yeah, I'm voting for McKinney. And, oh, the thing with identity. So Eric's running for mayor in San Diego, right? And what seems to be at stake isn't whether or not a given candidate is going to continue to outsource city jobs, or whether a candidate is going to try and develop sustainably. It's whether or not that candidate has a kind of character that we perceive as traditionally having integrity or something. Like, so people just accuse each other of being weak, as opposed to having debates about whether or not their positions are warranted or hold water. And one of Eric's opponents gave him supplies, like information about a mutual opponent, so that Eric could better smear him at debates. And I knew that was what electoral politics was about before, but I guess I just hadn't been that close to it, and I hoped to be proven incorrect.